The front page of Marca on Tuesday led with the possibility of Erling Haaland leaving Borussia Dortmund and moving to Real Madrid in the summer. Jules, you take a look at this. Understandable why Real Madrid would be interested, but could this really happen so soon?
I don't think it will happen this summer, although if you remember a few days ago, Mino Raiola gave this big interview where he said that he would love to bring one of his players to Real Madrid this summer. So there's only two names really that Raiola could be talking about. One is Paul Pogba, and we know that, and we've talked a lot about it on the show, so that's a big possibility. But the other one could be Haaland, and we also know that in the contract that he signed with Dortmund in January when he joined Dortmund from Salzburg, there's a clause that says that his release clause will then be triggered or will start from January 2021. So basically in a few months' time. And that release clause is 75 million euros. So if you want to sign him in the summer, then it's a bidding war and anyone can put an offer in and Dortmund can say they want 150 or 200 million. However, if you're ready to wait for January 2021, then suddenly there's that release clause in place for 75 million euros. And even if Haaland will only be 20 at the time and probably scoring more goals, 75 million for someone like him looks very, very appealing, especially for a club like Real Madrid, who, like you said, will have at some point to replace Karim Benzema, who's 32 and will be 33 in December, especially with Luka Jovic not really working out so far.
How much of this then is a concession that they're not going to get Kylian Mbappe?
I think it's a good indication that the Kylian Mbappe mission, because we know this is a big mission, probably won't happen this summer, and I think they realize how difficult it would be to sign him this summer, and mostly because he still has 2 years left on his current contract. So he's out of contract at PSG in June 2022, and PSG are trying really hard to obviously tie him up to a new deal, a longer deal. But Real Madrid, and rightly so, are thinking, hang on a minute, we don't do him now, but in the following summer 2021, then he only has 1 year left on his contract and you can get it for much less money than what you would have to pay right now. Right now, an Mbappe is 300 million euros, no doubt. In a year time, when he only has 1 year left on his contract, it's a different story. And you could probably looking at 150, 180, maybe 200 to really push. So you could do Haaland in January and still have way enough money to try to do Mbappe in the summer 2021.
Meanwhile, let's go from strikers to defence, shall we? Koulibaly linked to a number of clubs in the Premier League.
Yes, in the Premier League, Manchester United, who have been following up for a very long time. Manchester City as well, who know they have to strengthen their backline and probably replace the likes of Otamendi, John Stones, and even Fernandinho, who's been playing there this season. So Koulibaly would be a hell of a signing for Pep, who's a big fan of his, not because of his defensive qualities, if you want, but also how he's able to play with the ball. And if you can think of a Koulibaly-Laporte pair of centre-backs, this is pretty good, pretty strong for Man City. So Man City, I think, will be up there with Man United. A club like Liverpool, maybe if they were to go and try to sign a centre-back, would be for sure one of the contenders. But also, don't forget clubs like PSG, who are very keen as well of signing a new centre-back in the summer, because it's very likely that Thiago Silva will leave the club. And I should remind you that Kalidou Koulibaly just bought a very, very, very expensive flat in Paris. And usually you don't buy that expensive kind of flats if you just try to go there on holidays for a few weeks.
How expensive?
3 million euros? That's expensive.
It's a drop in the ocean, Jules, someone like you. Meanwhile, Aubameyang, future very much up in the air as to where the Arsenal striker could be moving to. What do you think, Jules?
It's an interesting one. I've been working on recently, and will write, I think, very soon for the website as well, is that with what's happening with the coronavirus and everything, there hasn't been much movement between the club, Arsenal, and Aubameyang himself and his people around him, his father and everyone, which means that he still only has this season to go and then one more to go, and after that he's out of contract. So for Arsenal right now, it's either he signs a new deal and then obviously will be there for a longer term, or they probably would have to sell him this summer or then be ready to let him go for free the following one. So it's a very interesting one. Obviously, Aubameyang in a very strong position to decide what he wants to do with his future. Let's not forget he's the club's captain. This is a club that he's very happy with, but also at his age, he's 30. He wants to win trophies and to play in the Champions League and things like that. So there's a lot at stake. There's a lot for Aubameyang to ponder with. But I was also told that, for example, the links that he had with Manchester United were not true. There was no contact from United to Aubameyang or from United to Arsenal either. So it's one to keep a close eye on, but I think there will be a lot of twists between now and the end of the season.
Now, are Arsenal starting to look at contingency plans if indeed Aubameyang does leave?
Yes, that's right. And again, even if Aubameyang stays, you have to prepare, because at some point he will go. And like we said, he's not in his younger age either. And there's one name that comes back a lot in what I'm being told is Marwan Boadou, the Dutch striker from AZ Alkmaar. AZ Alkmaar, one of the most exciting teams to watch, especially for their quite incredible front three, and so young as well. Idrissi on one side, Stengs on the other, and then Boadou in the centre, who's been scoring goals for fun, who made his debut for the national team as well. And funnily enough, a player that could have signed when he was much younger, I think when he was 14 or 15 for Arsenal. He travelled away to London, visited all the infrastructures at the club, the training ground, the stadium, and in the end decided to stay in Holland. But he's definitely one that the hierarchy at Arsenal are really keen on. Yes, I think unfortunately for Corentin Tolisso, it looks like it's the end of the road for him at Bayern Munich. He joined there, remember, for a lot of money from Lyon in the summer 2017. Did quite well in his first season. And then after that, didn't play so much since Hansi Flick's taken over from Kovac. He was very much a Kovac guy, and Flick doesn't really have the same trust in him than Kovac. So he's hardly been playing, and it's been a really frustrating season for him. So I think he will have to go. I think Bayern would be happy to let him go too, especially if other midfielders then come in the summer. And I think Italy, like you said, Inter Milan or Napoli, who were really keen on him before he joined Bayern Munich. I think Italy seems the likely destination for him. Inter, Napoli, maybe even AC Milan if they find the money for him. But I think that still expect to be a good 35 to 40 million euros for Tolisso.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.